Hello, my name is Philip Pressos. I would like to tell you a story that happened to me in 1994. At the time, my wife and I we were living in Australia, Sydney, Bondi Beach to be precise, in an apartment, and we had already three children, and the youngest was a boy, 7 years old almost. And my wife got pregnant again. We thought, no, that's it, no more children. But Mother Nature had different plan for us, so here it is. The fourth was coming, and but she got very sick, very sick, and she was very sick already for the other children. Before we had have two daughters and a boy. Very sick for the daughter, especially more than the boy. But this time it was worse than ever, and she couldn't eat anything. She couldn't even drink. Everything was coming out, and she was that day on her bed. She was very weak, and I was staying home to look after her. So I brought the kids at school and came back at home. And instead of going to my office doing some work, some paperwork, some quotes, I decided to sit on the dining table. So I was closer to her. And while I was writing and doing things, suddenly I saw a little girl walking and coming in my direction. She was about 3 years old, and I could see her really clearly, really neat. She had hair like this, and she had a white dress, and she had the sandals, and she had a serious face. She had no expression in her face. She was looking straight in front of her. She was not looking at me. And I saw her coming, walking. I look at her, and I turn my head, and then pop, she disappeared. I thought, what's that? I saw a ghost, but ghost doesn't exist. I didn't believe in anything, at that time. I thought ghosts were stories, imagination from people, or maybe there was other explanation, but ghosts couldn't exist. And so I had to find an explanation, a rational explanation. I just was thinking, and I thought, well, maybe some neurons, my brain started to create an image that didn't exist, and then give me the impression that a little girl was walking. But a little girl I didn't know, except that she had a familiar face, like a family, face. And she looked a bit like my sister and half my older, elder daughter. So I thought, just what, this something wrong here. If I see that, then maybe something wrong with my brain. Maybe I become, I don't know, schizophrenic, or maybe I've got a tumor or something. But anyway, I have to talk to the doctor, because I need to scan my brain, that's for sure. But I didn't talk to my wife. I didn't tell anything about this because she was sick enough, and I didn't want to say, I'm becoming schizophrenic, or I've got the tumor. It's not the right time to talk about that till you know for sure what you have. Then, didn't talk anyway. A few days later, I was in my office, and again I saw her passing. She was going out. Damn, the little girl again. I definitely have to see the doctor. And another week passed or something like that, and then again in the kitchen this time, I saw her passing. In the meantime, my wife had to go twice in hospital to get rehydrated, and after a few weeks anyway, she was better. She was feeling much better now, and we were talking in the bathroom. I was talking to her. On my right-hand side, there was a door open to the small hallway going to the bedrooms. And I was talking to her, facing her, blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly I saw from the corner of my eye, I saw the little girl passing, and I turned my head, and I came back again to continue the conversation like nothing happened. Because I didn't mention anything, to my wife, because I didn't see the doctor yet. So, but before I start to talk again, continue my conversation, she looked at me with her big eyes, and she said, "You just saw a little girl walking, don't you?" And each time I say that, I've got goosebumps. I said, "What? Did you see her too?" And she said, "Yeah, I just saw her passing, and I saw her turning her head to look at her." And I said, "Damn, well, how come? How come this? What's this? could not understand what this was, And I said, what is it? Did you saw her before? And she said, yes. I saw her a few times at home, and I saw her as well at the hospital. And I said, me too. I saw her 3 times already, and this is the first time. Then we described her, and it was the same girl. And I said, what do you think it is? Because ghost doesn't exist, so how is it possible? And she said, well, I know you don't believe in those things, but I think it's the soul of her daughter who is between life and death, and she's going outside of her body, and then we see her, and then she's coming back again. I was shocked. I couldn't believe anything, but my old belief system crashed to the ground, and I have no more reference. I didn't know what to think, but one thing for sure, there was no scientific explanation for those things. And I had to admit that if she saw it, and I saw it too, it was not a problem in my brain then. So I didn't have to see the doctor, I didn't have a tumor, and I was not schizophrenic. So that was the good news. But what that was, and then from that day, I opened my mind a lot, and I started to find, anything I could find, on ghosts, any stories and explanation, etc. So that's what I did, and then after that, I started to learn about, near-death experience, and then reincarnation, and a lot of things like that. So and then when I was working and talked to my clients, I didn't talk to all my clients, but sometimes when I could talk about that subject, I raised a subject and I said, have you ever had a paranormal experience in your life, in the past, or something happened to you that you don't have any explanation for it? What I found is at least 1 every 3 people had an amazing story, to a small one, a big one, but always something really amazing. And I thought, how come there is so many people who had a paranormal experience and never told anyone? They always keep that for themselves. So why are we all doing that? We should talk, to everybody. But these stories, there are many stories like this, and others that we never share. And I thought, I have to share this story because someone may have something similar that he saw and want to talk about it. So it would be great if you share your stories as well. So maybe we can read that or see it. So yeah, I would like everybody to just tell the stories. I think before people will feel ridiculous, to talk about those things. But I think now it's time, we should tell everyone, because we don't live in the world we think we are living in. It's not a world of a three-dimensional world as we think it is, as we perceive with our small perceptions, or small sense. There is other things, and it's far, far more complex than we can imagine, basically. So thank you for listening to me. And I hope that some of you will leave a message and tell their own story. That would be great. Thank you. Bye-bye.